This meeting is being live streamed. Okay, welcome back, tributes. Happy Thursday. I'm still getting used to saying Thursday. Tonight we're looking over chapters 5 and 6 of Ballad. But before we dive in, we have a little bit of Ballad news, or not Ballad, but Hunger Games news, I guess, which is kind of weird to say. If we want to talk about that.
Yeah, so it turns out that the Hunger Games revamping their social channels and posting Reliving the Games means that they're holding a contest for all of the old merch that they still have in their warehouse. Um, and they want us to post old fan art, old cosplays, with the hashtag return to the games. So it's kind of fun. It is nice that the Hunger Games account is a little bit more active than they have been, I think.
Yeah, it's exciting. The giveaway is pretty good too. I mean, it's quite a bit of stuff.
Just like random stuff from the warehouse. Like when they posted that, I was like, I want to see this warehouse. Like, how much stuff do you
Right?
have? What does it look like? Like, how do you organize these things? Like, are we clearing out stuff so that we can make way for ballad merch? That's like my thinking. Got to clear some space.
That's true. Just clear some space. How many winners are there?
I think they said they're doing it for a couple of weeks.
Oh, okay.
So I don't really know what that means. But they've been like posting what people have been posting on their stories. So then like how are they determining the winners? I don't know. I guess they're doing just like a drawing or something. I don't know.
Mhm.
A reaping.
A
Yeah.
reaping.
Of which they posted AJ's story or
Yeah, that was really
post.
cool.
That was so funny
It's
because
fun.
like
Little archery pick.
it was so cute. Shout out Emily for photo credit. Um yeah, I was just running errands and then I was like, oh, I don't know what time it is. And I checked my phone and it was like the Hunger Games mentioned you in a comment. The Hunger Games commented on your post, and then like a bunch of DMs from people, and I was like, "What's going on?" And
Oh,
yeah, it was cute. So shout out to everyone who was my personal notification system. Really appreciate you.
That photo's a little blurry and I'm like, ah, like I wanted
Fine.
AJ to like pose better for the photo, but you were just so into it. I was like, AJ,
Oh,
I'm trying to take a photo here. But no, you
I
were
had
like
no idea what you were
so
doing.
into the archery.
I was so in the zone. I didn't even know. I didn't know what was going on. Nah, it is what it is. I think it's great. I love that photo. It does the job. And, also as a side note, as like a bonus perk from this little interaction, like right before Christmas, I lost like 50 followers out of nowhere. Granted, I stopped posting for like 2 months, but I just lost like a chunk of followers. And then the Hunger Games putting me on their story and commenting on my post, I made up all of those
oh
followers
my
back.
gosh.
Wow,
So
shout out to the Hunger
shout out to the
Games.
Hunger Games. Love you, bestie.
Thanks, bestie.
Hopefully this means they're like just trying to engage like the fandom and then are pretty soon going to be moving into like actual ballad stuff. But
Definitely.
Well, Jerry, you had a good
Oh,
theory about the hashtag.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought that, or I think they're trying to like get engagement for the hashtag because it sounds like that's what they're going to use for the ballad, like
mm,
promotional hashtags, I guess.
Yeah,
return
relive
to
the
the
games.
games.
Which is
Not as
smart,
good as enjoy the show, but
Yeah,
all right.
hey, we'll take it.
it'll do.
We'll take something. And my Super Bowl prediction didn't happen, unfortunately.
Dang.
I
Sure.
was so hopeful.
It's really just too early. Like I feel like I'm hopeful that they're gonna do something in front of John Wick, but at the same
Mhm.
time, that's even earlier than that teaser we got before the first movie, because I was like 8 months before or 7 months before, and like in March that'll be 8 months before. So I don't know. I'm like still like a little bit doubtful that we're gonna get something before that movie, but we'll see.
Fingers crossed.
It's the only way I'm gonna see the movie, so. I feel like that's kind of it for ballad news or Hunger Games news in general, I guess, unless anybody else has anything.
Not
We're almost at 1,000 TikTok followers, so follow us
go
on TikTok.
Emily for revamping our TikTok.
Yeah, we're almost at 1,000, so just trying to hit that goal. Thank you, CapCut, because these little templates are so fun.
Okay.
Should we get
Well.
into chapters 5 and 6?
Chapter 5 is short, and then chapter 6 is very long. So I feel like it's a good idea to start.
I think we start chapter 5 with Corio still thinking about getting expelled from school.
He's never received an official reprimand. Oh,
Oh
no.
my gosh. Not a demerit.
Not on his watch.
I feel like these two chapters are going to be almost entirely cut from the movie.
I agree.
I mean, like the end, there's a couple of things that are important. Like I think there's some lines between characters that will be taken, but and then obviously the end of chapter 6. But I think there's a lot here to be cut.
Yeah.
Do you think they'll cut the scene at the zoo with Lucy Gray singing?
I think she'll probably sing. I think what's gonna happen is they'll have the scene of Snow like in the cage with the tributes, and then they'll go back one more time to the zoo. And when they go back, those would kind of be the pictures that we saw, like with Snow there, and then she'd probably sing, and then at the end we'll have the
big twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The awesome big twist.
Among Us in real life.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Don't get me started.
Mhm. Let's see.
We have Sejanus there, right? He's like giving out the sandwiches.
Yeah, please don't feed the animals, they say. I remember the first time we read Ballad together, Emily, how much you hated the animal references in this.
I do. I wrote it down another. Well, see, I like the kids saying the sign, but I think that like that's enough.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I just like things to be more subtle, I guess.
Yeah,
They're
it is
not
pretty on the
animals,
nose.
though. They're
They
kids
belong in
like
a
you and me.
cage. Okay.
Yeah, I feel like that's the thing with Ballad. There's a lot of things that are like fantastic, and then you get these like little morsels of on the noseness or fan service, or I don't even know what to call it. And it's like,
I
Yeah,
feel
it's
like
the heavy-handedness, which is I don't associate that with Suzanne's writing. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
like the biggest thing about Ballad that like I don't like.
stands out. Definitely.
I like the line, the zoo was his show and he and Lucy Gray were the stars on
Cute.
page 64.
Only a true narcissist would say that.
True.
But then he's wondering if he should eat with her or not. That might cross a line.
Me with a district person?
Never.
Yeah, which is interesting. That's an interesting connection in the next chapter of what Grandmam says about eating with the district slums.
It's a meatloaf sandwich.
Ugh.
I've never had meatloaf in my life.
I
Sounded
can't
good.
imagine like a sandwich made out of meatloaf. Like what is
Right?
that?
Like meatloaf is already
Yeah.
pretty thick, like pretty heavy. And then
Yeah, it has-
in between bread, it's a lot.
Yeah.
Is it warm? I'm imagining it cold.
No, it's
Yeah,
warm.
me too.
Ew. It reminds me of
Like a
Cold
meatball
Pizza.
sandwich, kind of. Right?
I've never had one of those either.
You've never had a meatball sandwich?
I've never even had meatloaf.
Well, meatballs
What's
are
face on-
different.
I don't-
And then they start, like you said, they're feeding their tributes, but the only tribute who doesn't approach Sejanus is is Marcus. I don't know how, like, while I was reading that, I was like, how does he withstand this hunger? Like, is his pride really that strong that he can refuse food? I'm like, if I were in that situation, no matter how angry I was, I can't imagine like being starving and refusing food right in front of you. Maybe it's just not the option he wanted. He didn't have
Ollie,
a chicken sandwich or something.
Ollie, he's just built different. Okay, Snowland's on top. That's my opinion for it.
We love that reference. We need you to make references.
I'm just living up to my reputation, folks.
Ronnie, we miss you.
Sorry, I was typing the TikTok in the chat because I gotta plug that.
Oh yeah. And then they come up with the idea that it's no fun to watch the games if the tributes are starving.
I can't believe it took him that long to realize that.
True.
Yeah, I guess only whenever you actually humanize them. Oh my gosh. I can't with this book sometimes. Or I should say these characters. Oh my gosh.
And then there's more animal references to them talking about like Snow saying that he thought about Lucy Gray as his filly in a race, his dog in a fight. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, when I read that, I was just looking at that paragraph, and he's so contradicting himself. Like, the more he had treated her as something special, the more she'd become human, while still comparing her to a dog in a race.
Yeah.
It's just so
What do you mean?
absurd. It's so absurd. Like
I don't like how she calls the fruit flesh. That grosses me out.
Ew.
She bit the flesh of the last bit of flesh off the plum pit.
Oh, that's gross.
Thank you,
First off, I've
Suzanne,
never
for
seen a
that.
plum in real life, but that's another story. I don't think they're real.
You're not real.
It's funny that he starts kind of being more relaxed around her, though, and like revealing things to her.
I think this is where we're starting to see he's starting to develop more like romantic feelings, or
If we can call them romantic
if we can call it
feelings, yeah.
romantic feelings, yeah. Like, he's romantic in the sense of he's maybe possibly could open up. He feels more comfortable and trusting of her for the sake of some type of emotion he maybe never felt before. Yeah.
As the kids say today, he's vibing with her.
He be vibing. He be vibing.
So then she sings again.
Another
The
song
ballet
that
songs.
I can't picture.
Me
Song.
either. I
Yeah.
don't really like this song, to be honest.
I like its meaning. I just don't really like. I don't know. It's not really important right now.
I wonder
I just
if
like it because PETA likes it.
this is like a weird song to be the Valley song, though.
Hmm.
Like, did you imagine the Valley song like this? Because I didn't.
No, I did not.
I don't know. Maybe if it makes it into the film, we'll like the interpretation of it. But
I think it's based off a real song.
Hmm.
oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
We just read about this.
Yeah. There's so many songs, y'all. It's hard to keep track.
Too many.
It's true.
And he starts thinking about his mother and how she died, which every time I read this, like how she died and the fact that like she was pregnant, I somehow forget it every time and I'm shocked every time.
Yeah, I forgot about it too.
Like he would have had a sister.
Maybe he would have been nicer.
No. There's nothing
Probably
that
not.
say or
true.
do that would make him a better person. Like
He'd
He
be
would
like
have
his
to
prim.
born a different person.
I mean, maybe his mother living could have helped him to be a better person, though. No?
Mm,
Yes.
it's
There's
born bad.
absolutely nothing that can sway me. I'm like snow to snow right now. I'm like, convince me. Like it's not happening.
So you just think he was like born the way that he is, and like there's no
Yeah.
scenario that would have changed that.
Yeah. Because I think that people like that do exist, and especially I feel like in a world where Panem exists, and even though the Hunger Games are a creation after the war, things were already bad because it led to a war. And I feel like that kind of desensitization and low empathy just gets passed on. Because like we know Snow's dad is not like Mr. Malark or anything, Like he's not, from what we hear from Snow, he's not like a very warm or caring person, and like maybe his mom is, but like I still don't think that that's enough. I don't know. I just feel like Snow is like he's just he's born this way. Um I just don't see it for me. I don't know.
In contrast to Sejanus, who like Snow asks him, like, oh, how did you think about feeding the tributes? It's like, well, because he has a heart. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's literally like, Sejanus is like literally describing that he is imagining himself as the tributes and like what would have happened to him in that situation, which is like the definition of empathy.
Sure. Or do you think he could have just felt guilty because of seeing Marcus, and that's what prompted on these feelings of trying to see himself in someone's the district shoes, like tribute shoes, instead of him just being a person who has the capacity for empathy. Like similar to the Snow, like the argument you make with Snow, AJ.
Mm-hmm.
Does he have any dialogue about like being against the games before Marcus comes along?
I don't remember. I don't
Oh.
think so.
I don't think so. It's
Mm.
like after the reaping, he's like talking about District 2, But no, I don't think it was before.
But I mean, I think a lot of his dialogue talks about it, like, isn't
Yeah.
outside of this scene. He's talking about
Yeah.
like humanity and people in general. So I don't think it's like just that.
Yeah, but I just don't see Sejanus as this very like positive character in the sense of like the morally upright person. Um I think he's still like a lot of what influences his moral compass is the guilt that he does feel from his privilege, and what he ends up doing is not actually like using it to help the tributes. But I digress. That's a whole other thing we'll talk about later.
No, yeah,
agree
yeah,
with that.
I agree. Yeah, I
Yeah.
feel like he gets more
Mhm.
frustrating every time I read the
Yes.
book.
Yes.
And then they talk about switching tributes and Snow taking Marcus and Sejanus taking Lucy Gray. And there's some foreshadowing when on page 74 they say, I know the crowd likes her, but what good will that do in the arena? It's foreshadowing presenting the tributes. So again, there's just more ideas being dropped here about how to make the games better.
Yeah, because it ends up becoming everything.
Mhm.
Mhm.
It's the way to win the games.
Yeah.
I wonder if they're going to keep the scene between the two of them, like trading tributes in the movie.
That's a good question.
I'm really curious because I would like to see this scene, but I also don't really know how they could play it because so much of it is Snow internally kind of having this monologue about whether he should switch or not. Which he can't say any of that dialogue out loud because he's trying to not tell Sejanus his real like reasoning.
Taylor, Taylor.
Taylor!
Taylor!
We're just at
Welcome.
the end of chapter 5 right now.
I love that
I just-
line that Sejanus has. I know I'm so blameless, I'm choking on it. I just hope they keep it in because I just laugh. I don't know.
Oh,
It's such a Sejanus line.
I like that line too.
and then he decides that they're a team.
He decides that Lucy Gray belongs to him.
Ugh.
I can't. I can't.
Anything else for chapter 5?
I'm just laughing at the beginning of chapter 6. I don't know why this didn't like sink in when I read it before, but like Coriolanus relished the disappointment on Sejanus' face. I don't know. I just love that.
But not for long, because that would have been
Good.
petty.
That would have been petty.
I literally said King what? He's so petty. At least, I mean, never mind, he's not aware of his pettiness.
Now we get AJ's favorite line. Dumping her would be like kicking a kitten.
I can't with him.
Oh my gosh.
He's the worst. But like, I was listening to this while I was painting today, and Santino Fontana just does such a good job, especially with this one line, because I literally had to put down my pencil and be like, I hate him so much. He's the worst.
Snaps.
I also really hope they keep the line of Sejanus that it's just this whole Hunger Games thing. It's making me crazy.
Honestly, same.
We all know they're going to cut all these like hilarious lines.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
They never keep the good stuff.
I mean, look at Peta's character in the movies.
Right?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, don't even.
Jeez. Ay ay ay.
That's an episode
Well,
right there.
one director kept the good stuff, but
Not even.
Francis?
Yeah, no.
I mean, both.
Nina, I think I have a theory that Nina set him up for the first movie.
What?
Let's hear this
What hap-
theory.
It's like any bad stuff that happened, I think Nina approved it because she really wanted Francis. And so it made Gary look bad.
What?
What kind
Conspiracy.
of theory is this?
Confirmed. She yelled at somebody on the phone and said, "Stay out of this."
Wasn't
Or what-
Nina.
Are we sure though?
We're sure it wasn't Nina. We love Nina,
Shout out Nina.
Shout
This
out
podcast
Nana-
loves Nina.
who's totally listening to every episode, right?
I
Absolutely.
think so too.
What else would she be doing?
It's not like she has a
Not
movie
running a
coming out
production
soon.
company, that's for sure.
Oh, okay.
Not making ballad.
Not making ants too.
We got to this part where the grandmam is questioning why he ate with her.
I love the line your father used to say, "Those people only drink water because it doesn't rain blood."
I like that
Jeez.
line too.
That's such a slap in the
Intense.
face.
It really is. I think it's really interesting that she does get really upset about him eating with them, because in a lot of, different cultures in the world, to eat with people means to be at peace with them and to be within like a good graces, like with friendship, like some type of good, like positive relationship there. So I just think that's really interesting that she gets so upset, because that would imply that there's some type of like positive relationship there, like there's friendship or something,
That's a good point.
But she's not like other girls.
Quirky.
She's different.
But then on page 78, there's a little bit of foreshadowing from Grandmam about manipulation. I think that's really interesting.
Yeah, I noticed that. It's like, yeah, grandmam's the only one who knows what's going on. Because I think she is manipulating him completely.
Mm-hmm.
Like totally, from the beginning to the last scene with them in this book, total. Both of them are playing each other.
I mean, which she has to. Like, she's got to survive here.
Sure, yeah, like you could assign value judgments on it however you want, but the fact is that they're both have like an angle and agenda that they're putting on one another, and they don't necessarily realize it until the very end.
Which is something that I realize more and more every time I read this book.
I think it's, I don't know, so funny how Satyria is so on board with, like, I don't know, whatever Snow wants to do, or like whatever he's getting up to. She's like proud of him. The idea of like blackmailing the Plints. Like, she's like all good with that idea.
Let's target the Plints.
So then we're back with all of the students together.
Yeah, this is one of the parts in the book I find really interesting is how they, when they all get together, how they all as a group think and how they all talk about the games.
Hmm. I
Yeah,
hope there's a scene in the movie like this where they kind of all just kind of like throw out their ideas or like are all talking together in the classroom, because I think it's so interesting
I can
hearing
definitely
just like
see
all of
that.
their comments.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It would be just a cool scene too to record.
Who wants to watch a group of children kill each other? Only vicious, twisted people. That's gonna be you and your family.
Yep. It's yeah, we see like them getting down to the crux of the problem that we see in the beginning of how do you get people to watch something like so horrific. Um and then we see like this guy, Festus, he suggests like some type of negative enforcement when we've learned today like that doesn't really help all that much, but with the gambling that's more of a positive enforcement of you get something like the instead of being punished because of it you get a reward out of it
Mm.
and you're more inclined to participate if you get something out of it that's positive.
Mhm.
I also really
That's-
like Lysistrata's line, because most of us are basically decent people, and I feel like she is kind of like represents the kind of basically decent person that she's talking about.
Mm-hmm. I can see that, and even how the basically decent person can still get caught up in this.
Because she's
Yeah.
not like so outspoken like Sejanus, but she also is, kind of saying something.
Yeah, she's at least more coherent than Sejanus, in my opinion.
Yep. He's just kind of like a PETA character who runs around and proclaims that he's better than everyone else.
I mean, I can't argue with that one.
And then the dog fighting comes up again. Another animal reference.
Jeez.
And then like odds and betting, like you mentioned, Gabby. And then they get to meet with their tributes.
Which I know
One-on-one.
I've said this before, but I love that description. As the tribute's eyes traveled around the room, they eventually made their way to the mentor's balcony, and the two groups found themselves locked in one another's gazes for a long, raw moment.
Mm.
And I would just love for that to be, I don't know, in the movie, but I think they're going to cut this scene entirely of them talking with the tributes and trying to
Yeah.
get info from them.
Yeah,
I think-
honestly, it kind of reminded me of like a career day when you have to like interview
Yeah.
interview people and you're asking them these dumb questions.
I picture just like even though it's supposed to be this like opulent room, I don't know. I picture just like a cafeteria with like tables.
Yeah. Yes, I picture like a gymnasium, like in a classic gym.
Yeah.
And yeah, with those cafeteria tables.
Well, let's cut the scene. We don't need it.
I pictured prison,
I kind of picture a prison too.
like where you go, like you can go sit at the table and talk to your family. I mean, I
Oh,
personally
yeah.
never
Oh, yeah.
experienced that. I'm just going off what I
Gotcha.
see on TV, and that's what I'm thinking about.
Just disclaimer.
Yeah.
And then I feel
Cool.
like when they share the bread pudding, it kind of like symbolizes how similar they are, because that's also like it's both of their favorite foods. And I felt like that was like a moment for him to realize like she is a human and like she is like they have something in common as opposed to like her just belonging to him.
Mm.
This is a reach, and I know that, but when I was re-listening to it today, it for some reason made me think of Peeta throwing the bread to Katniss. It's completely different circumstances, but like not really, because it's not literal bread, but it's bread pudding. And then he's giving it to her, and it's like a really like significant emotional moment for her. And it just
Okay.
it's a reach. That's what I'm saying.
Wow.
But that's where I went today.
Yeah, that's cool.
I see it.
Hmm
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
We support you. We support you. And then she tells him that about herself and how her family died and she's also an orphan. And I like how he's like, I hate that word. And then he just like pretends to be different from her, even though they have the same like shared experience.
hmm
He sucks. Just can't.
And then she flirts with him,
They flirt quite a bit.
but he
during
just
this
gets
scene.
taken aback. He's like, what the?
He's like, wait a minute. I'm getting
I love it
screwed
so
here."
much.
Honestly, I feel the chemistry between
Mhm.
them.
And it's such a power play for her to do that too.
Yeah, I feel like this is where she's realizing that she can really like manipulate him.
Hmm Honestly, I'm kind of liking her character more.
I love her character.
She's weird, but like I respect it.
Yeah. There you go.
And then she says, my people didn't take a side, we're just us. And I thought that was interesting because, like, is she just saying that? Because I mean, I would have taken a side, even though I
Mhm.
wasn't in the district, I would have taken a clear side. Or was she actually not taking a side
Yeah.
during the war?
And this is an interesting concept of neutrality within a war. Like, does that
Mhm.
actually exist? And some people think that does exist. Others will argue that neutrality actually doesn't exist because what you're doing is just allowing the dominant powers and forces like win. You're aiding them in winning and not preventing them and not opposing them. So they say that you can't actually ever be neutral in war. You're either
Mm,
aiding in the dominant forces or you're helping the rebels or like
that
the
makes me
yeah.
think so much about District 13 and Coin
Yes.
and
Yeah.
whether they were actually neutral or not, just
Right.
lying low all those years.
hmm And you could argue that they actually never were in the first place.
I thought it was interesting because she mentions wearing her mom's dress to the reaping, which is something that Katniss did.
Mm.
Whoa.
I've never why have I never
Whoa.
thought of that?
Mind
Well.
blown. Yeah, something to do with these mother characters. They're these somewhat absent mother characters showing up. It's really interesting.
Mhm. Well, I think it's interesting because tomorrow we're recording our episode and we're talking to a professor who wrote a book on the Hunger Games, a companion book.
Whoa.
And he mentions that Katniss's father is one of the most influential characters in the whole trilogy.
It
It's
blew
just
my
like having,
mind.
like,
I
yeah.
believe it. I can see it.
And I think that argument is just really cool because I mean he doesn't even exist in the timeline.
Mhm. Yeah, but he totally influences her choices.
And I guess you
And
could say the same for Snow too, with his mother dying too.
yeah. Ooh, that's really interesting.
I mean, and his father, because he's kind of deciding. He's kind of deciding whose path to like follow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. You can even say that with Katniss too. Like she could have decided to follow like her mom being like numbed out and kind of disconnected, or like try to live life to the fullest like her dad did.
Yeah, just how to deal with what had happened to her.
Yeah. Man, I've never realized that before. That's pretty neat.
I love when they reunite with Dr. Gall.
Oh my
just
gosh.
mentions that he's happy to see her.
Yes, I circled that and I was like, how are you happy to
Like
like see
last
her?
time you were like scared to see her. Now you're
Mhm.
like you're experiencing pleasure seeing her. What what is this?
And then High Bottom just hates being there. And I think it's interesting how Sejanus gives, like, unintentionally gives the idea of feeding the tributes food, because of Dr. Gall talking about how he was the one who was at the zoo feeding them all. And so, like, unintentionally, he was the one who started that. And how that would suck so much for him.
Yeah, and she loves it. It's
Mhm.
so creepy how she loves that someone who hates being a part of it is a part of it.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait to see Dr. Gall in the movie.
Yeah, I can't really
she might be
picture
my favorite character.
how that's gonna like what it's gonna be like, but I'm excited to see
Mhm.
the interpretation of it. Like I feel like High Bottom I can picture so well. It's just like perfect. It just makes so much sense.
Mhm.
But I think she's gonna be really good as Dr. Gall. I just can't wait to see what it's gonna be like.
Yeah.
I don't really have anything until the end of the chapter, so if you guys have anything.
I just have that line on page 94 about the group project that Corio says. I just like laugh at that line.
Which one?
The another group project, another opportunity to compromise his ideas in the name of collaboration. I'm like, I want that to be my Twitter bio. Like,
That's really funny.
that'd be a really good senior quote.
That would
Mhm.
be. And then we cut back to the zoo. And I think it's funny how he says, he's thinking about like the future and like Lucy Gray in the arena. And he goes, it would look bad if a Snow's tribute received nothing in the arena. Like, girl, are you really that petty? Are you really that petty that he cares about himself more than Lucy Gray, like literally starving in the arena? And the answer is yes, he really is that petty.
Mm-hmm.
And then Arachne is at the cage. Oh, I hate this
Being
part.
stupid.
So
Yeah.
stupid.
She's playing with fire.
I remember reading this the first time. Like, this was the first, I mentioned this before, but this was the first chapter that just stood out to me so much.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, to me, this is like the biggest. To me, this is where the story just like goes a little haywire. Like it gets to me, it gets better after this.
Mhm.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
I feel like this is just all exposition to get to the main events. I told my friend, I said, It's different. It's a different book, but if you can make it to page 99, then it gets really good afterwards for
Yeah, I think
Ballad.
yeah, they have to do a lot of like world building and
Yeah.
like establishing characters, but the plot gets really I'd agree the plot gets really good from here.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think I had a bit of like a like gut punch moment when you find out there's a connection between Sejanus and Marcus,
Yeah.
but not as much as then when you get this moment, it's like, oh my gosh, what?
This one's just, to me, it's so visual. Like you can just see this happening. And that's what got me. It was like, whoa.
Mm-hmm. Especially like opening the mouth to shout out a warning, but it's too late. So good.
Ugh.
It's gonna be wild to see this in the movie.
Yes. Oh, this is gonna be so messed up.
It
Wonder how
better
they'll
be
change it.
good.
Yeah, I wonder how they'll change it.
I don't think we'll see it on
Mm.
camera.
Maybe they'll
But-
do like a shaky cam thing. Like,
Yes.
No, please no.
and that'll be like the
please.
one
Shaky
one shot that is shaky, nothing else. They
The
just
return of
filmed
Gary
that
Ross.
and it just shakes. Yeah.
I feel like this should have been a Gary Ross film, but that's just me. I'm gonna leave it there. I
Yeah,
think this film
that is
could
just you,
benefit from
Chase.
shaky cam.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, thank you.
A little
I wanna
more
see
grittier.
the
a
movie.
a little less Hollywood. Well, that'll do it.
Well, that was 6.
Was that the shortest one? The shortest tribute talk?
I think so.
The
It might
next,
be.
the
Under
first
an
word on the first word on chapter 7 I read is Shrek. Shrek came from the audience
Shrieks.
members.
Uh,
What?
What?
Donkey.
Well, on that note, I guess listen to our exciting episode coming out on Sunday. I'm really looking forward to it. I have no
I am
idea how it's gonna
too.
go because we
Me
haven't
either.
recorded
We
it.
haven't
Book?
recorded it yet.
Is this the guy with the college book about the music?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
I need
it's
to buy that.
geography and music of District 12. It's
Yay.
called a place called District 12.
yeah, that's so exciting. I can't wait for that to come out.
Yeah. It's a really good companion book. So
Oh,
That'd
it's
be great.
so good.
I flew through it.
Is it all about music, or is it like
No, the first part is about District 12. And it's like geography and like the connections to like our real world. And then the second half is music.
yeah, I need to get it.
That's so cool.
But the music part is super interesting too.
Yeah.
Like
it
all the
is.
little
That's the part I'm
details.
afraid I'd struggle with because I don't know enough about music.
I don't know.
But I didn't know
either.
anything about music either,
Does
but
it
reading
talk
it,
about,
like,
like-
it just gives you so much context, and
Does it talk
reading
about
books like that makes you feel like, oh my gosh, Suzanne is such a genius. Like, I already
Mhm.
feel that way, but
Mhm.
just so much like planning and thought. It goes into every little detail. I love it.
Is it like Appalachian style music? Is that what it talks about?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Oh, we have our
That's like the
correspondent.
kind I play. That is the music I play on the fiddle.
Taylor, read
Yes,
it, fact check it for
Taylor.
us.
Yeah, seriously.
Taylor, you should play
Yeah,
it live.
you need to read it and tell us what you think.
We flip to the back of the book and look at the sources. It just says Taylor.
Hey, I taught West Virginia studies, and part of that was geography. So, you know, a very small part.
That's- You should have written the book before he did, and you could be on the podcast.
He knows way more than me, I'm sure.
Shout out to you, sir.
So yeah, join us on Sunday for that, and then join us next Thursday. Hopefully, we have something to talk about in terms of ballad.
Yeah, it looks
It's
like
another
the
week.
next chapters are even shorter, so it might be an even shorter week if Lionsgate
It's
doesn't
cool.
give us something.
It's
Yeah.
gonna be a dry week.
Oh, maybe a dry month because we're still waiting for John Wick, but it's fine. But
At
stay
some
with
point,
us.
it's just gonna like ramp up so much, and like we're
We
just
won't
gonna
be
be
able to keep up.
swimming, drowning in
Favorite.
ballad
Gosh,
news.
I can't wait.
Savor the
Mhm.
anticipation.
True.
Yep.
Okay, well, everyone have
nice
a good
to us.
night.